Hey guys, Dan here from YJ, back again with another weekly challenge. And just to remind you, this month we're working on songwriting, okay? And if you didn't catch the lesson last week, the weekly challenge last week, just to recap, we kind of just put together a little bit of the theory from the Ionian course, and we put it towards creatively trying to find an A and a B section. Okay, so if you've not watched that, you need to watch that first. Okay, this is a sequence we need to go through in stages here. Now, I'm very much hoping that you've come to this lesson, welcome, with a song of some kind. You know, you've got your A section, you've got your B section. Just to recap, my A section is this. So far, anyway. This is the start. That's my A section, and my B section is simply something like that, and then back to the A section. Okay, so B section is very short, okay, it's deliberately short, okay. Yours can be whatever you want, and I'm hoping that you've had a bit of time, you've gone through this, you haven't overthought it too much, you've just got something down on paper, because you're gonna see some magic happen as we start to layer this up. Believe me, you know, no one's written the full song by the time you've just written the basic chord structure. That's the absolute basis, okay? So, now we're going to talk about embellishments, the twinkly little bits, the extras, the bits that actually start to make this unique. Because when you're just dealing with a chord structure within just using your kind of basic major, minor chords, using your Ionian scale, you're going to come across songs that start to sound more familiar. You know, it's going to be a pattern that sounds familiar. You could probably even with that sing a few different songs that you already know. But now we're going to try and start to make it different, okay? And the first place we're going to start is simply with extensions of chords. So 7th chords, 9th chords, you can go as far as 11ths, 13ths in different major, minor chords. Dominants, you know, we've got basically, when we go beyond that initial triad, so root, 3rd, 5th, we can start adding, the next one we would typically add is like a 7th, so root, 3rd, 5th, 7th, okay? And you can add 9ths, you can add 11ths, and this is very much chord theory, so I'm obviously not going to be going into this now. The more you do this, and we will have courses on this, we've got theory lab courses to help you through this process, and again, all free, all over on the website, all on YouTube. The more you create like a log of extensions of chords, the more you can just kind of bring them in. So the only little bit of theory we need, and we do go through this a bit later on in the modal course, in the Ionian course I should say, is within our kind of major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished, we do have to put certain chords. Initially, remember what I said at the start of the last lesson, rules are there to be broken, but to start with, certainly whilst we're learning, we need to put them in certain places. So I'm going to do this with 7th chords, and that's enough for now. Essentially, our 1, 4, and 5 chord become, if it became 7th chords, instead of being major, 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 they would be major 7 as the 4, and then dominant 7. The 5 chord becomes a dominant chord. That's one of the most important things to say here when you're working at this level, okay? So it's not a major 7th chord again. That wouldn't work within the confounds of the scale. What does work though is the dominant chord in that 5 position. So you've got a major 7, and the 5 chord is a dominant 7. The minor chords are easy peasy lemon squeezy. They just all become minor 7th chords. So you'd have an F sharp minor 7, a C sharp minor 7, and a B minor 7 in this case, okay? And then the diminished becomes something known as a minor 7 flat 5. As it happens, we've already played that. Again, don't worry about the theory here at all at this point, okay? What I'm asking you to do is call upon any of these chord shapes that you know already, and if you're feeling like, oh, I don't know any of these 7th chords, then we now have a new guide, a new pathway which you know that you're going to need to go down. You're going to need to learn these 7th chords and then 9th chords and so on. It's great fun. You can take your cage system, and we'll be doing these courses, and add 7th chords. So now, instead of just doing the minor cage system, you're doing the minor 7th cage system, and you can do the dominant 7th and so on. You just keep building these layers, okay? But now, just have a quick listen. If I just change my progression from just this triad version, so major and minor chords, to this 7th version, okay, using the correct 7th chords on each chord, this is what it will sound like now. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we start with a A major 7, B minor 7, and if my B section was just a B minor 7, I'd get this kind of. And then we're back. Okay? So straight away, the first thing to say here is that quite often part 1 and part 2 go hand in hand. You know, if I was just going straight into this songwriting thing, I'd probably have already gone for these 7th chords, because that actually is more like the sound of what I'm trying to get at. Just A, B them, right? Here's just the dominant, the major chords. And now the majors, the 7ths. You can hear that more relaxed style. That suits my groove. So the first thing to be said here is utilizing the chord extras, so going up into 7ths, 9ths, 11ths, and whatever you know, adds a whole new layer. Okay, so now actually my groove, that kind of soulful thing that I kind of laid out initially, now it makes more sense. So I'm now going to change my song so that it's not the major triads or minor triads, it's now those 7th versions. So that's my kickoff. Okay, so now I'm going to record that loop again. So let me just get rid of the one I had, and I will do that again with 7th chords. So 1, 2, so A section times 2. Do it again. Then my B section. 3, 4, boom, back to the A. There we go. So now that's where I'm at now. So I'm instantly, a couple of things to say. I'm going to keep that loop there. Oh, try to keep it there. More advanced loop stations involve more advanced jumping around pedally things, but we get there. So now I'm really happy with the kind of overall sound. It fits in with my groove, and just by simply adding 7th chords there, it's made a massive difference. So let's talk about embellishments. So now I'm gonna think Slow Dancing in a Burning Room by John Mayer, right? You know, a little bit of that kind of thing, right? He's the master at taking a very simple progression, 3 chords in that instance, and adding a few extra bits, so a little bit of a melody, a little bit of embellishment to make it more like a part. So that's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to create a part. So this is where that kind of Hendrixism, I think, really jumps in, like hugely. The idea of being able to take a particular chord, so for example, this A major or A major 7, and knowing that there's a pentatonic box underneath it, of box 2. You can even do the major scale there. And with each of those individual chords, knowing that there's a pentatonic box underneath it, okay? I'm not going to go into how I knew how to do that now, but you're in luck. Because if you tackle our cage chords, major cage chords, minor cage chords, I break that down in literally 24 lessons, absolutely free, exactly how to do that. And you will get that drilled into your head for every single cage chord. And the great news is, once you've done it on the, the basic triads, so in this instance, that's a pentatonic box 2. Okay? Once you've got that for the triad, same thing applies for the 7th, for the 9th, okay, for whatever all, extras you add on top of that. You can just add this. So what I'm gonna be doing, and I think this is a good place to kind of zone it in, is using that concept, so that idea, to create some embellishments that start to create a part here. Okay, so bear with me with this, guys, okay, because this bit of the process is the bit that might take a little bit longer, especially because I'm literally making it up on camera. There's no pre-planned anything here. I'm making it up. I did the last one, made it up as I went, so you could see actually how the process feels rather than just me pretending to hit the right notes all at the right time. So I've got quite a lot of time on this A major. I've got no time on the B minor 7. So I know that's going to basically just hit the chord. And then I've got a bit more time as I go down it. So on the A major 7, I'm going to try and bring in, so I've got this pentatonic. Let's see what we can do. So okay. I quite liked it. We're going to do it again. We're going to see if I like it. Do you know what? Don't overthink it. Don't overthink it, Dan. That's fine. Bow. Yes, I like it. I do like it. That was super simple. Basically what I did there is I went from the major 7 to another way to play that major 7, but what it highlighted there was a new melody note. So with that major 7th chord, I've got my melody notes here, which is the 5th of A. And then when I did this chord, that's actually the major 7th of A. So that's a nice little shift. Boom, 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 ba, boom, ba. And then bum, bum. And then instead of then going back to the chord, I just used my pentatonic box 2 at the top and just did a little lick based in that, okay? And again, if you want to kind of learn these exact licks, there'll be tabs for this over on the website. So let me do that again. I need to actually get that into my head. It wasn't quite that, was it? This is the thing. No. Bum. No. Bum, bum, da, dum, da, boom, bum. Okay, right. Something like that. Okay, I'm sure that'll develop as I go, but that'll be my little kind of way of creating something unique on my 1 chord. I then got my 2 chord, which is that stab. So we'll make a big deal out of that. When I come down to the F sharp, I want to kind of do a similar thing. I've got my kind of pentatonic box here, which I can draw upon. Don't overthink it, guys. That's fine. This is the Ed Sheeran school of songwriting. I mean, imagine how many songs go out so quickly with Ed Sheeran. Don't think he overthinks it. I think he just goes with something. He goes with a feeling, goes with a groove, builds it up, layers it up. I mean, he's the ultimate loop master, isn't he? So if he can do it, and he's one of the greatest songwriters on the planet at the moment, I think that's a pretty good bit of advice. Just go with something. So there I'm just using the F sharp minor pentatonic. So I'm just literally doubling it up. Remember just to use the tab if you want this exact lick. And the cool thing about that technique is that it suggests the F sharp minor without me having to play it. That's the whole Hendrix thing, right? It suggests F sharp minor because I'm playing F sharp minor pentatonic. These are 5 notes from the F sharp minor key. So it suggests it enough without me having to actually go, always referencing that chord. So I've now got this on, when I come down to the F sharp, no. Yeah, that's it. All right, let's put this together so far. We'll see. Bum, bum, da-da. Okay, that's my F sharp section, so that's my next chord. And then I go up to this D. Now we know this is D major 7th. Now, depending on how many chord versions of this you can find, this is where it's great practice to learn your cage chord versions of the things. So I could do a D major 7 here, I could do it here, I could do it here, I could do it here. I've got all these different options for where to play this chord. And with each one, obviously a different pentatonic box goes with it. This is all in that cage chord course, guys. It's all there in black and white, simple as day, with exercises to get you good at it. But, you know, let's say I stuck here, this major 7th. That gives me a kind of nice pentatonic box 4. Underneath this, this one gives me that box 5. Okay, like I said, it's all in that course. Okay, don't worry about the why here. I'm just showing you how to use this once you've got this information. So, do you know what? I'm going to try and develop a little theme here because I did this kind of... I did that over the A. So when I do the D major 7 here, I can do a very, very similar lick, but this time come back to the, you know, the D instead of the, in this case, that would have been the major 3rd of A. Don't worry about it. Right, so something like this maybe. So I've got this. So I'm going to get... I could even come back to that. That is the major 7th. So I could even come back to that note. So then it would be exactly the same lick, which is quite a nice little theme development. Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. Then we use the same lick again before hitting that stab again of the chord. So in theory, we've got something like this. Yeah, that's good. Aha. Almost. So that was. And you'll find as you go through this exactly the same as me, like this is all rhythm, isn't it? This is all rhythm and melody in your head, and it can get lost and a little bit. I'm still not convinced I'm playing that first bit exactly the same as I played it early on. You can rewind it and see. There's a slightly different rhythm there, but it develops as it develops. So let's now say that that's our part. How big a difference is that to what we ended up with last week? Last week we ended up with just those, those basic chords. Rewind to last week. That's what it sounded like. Now we're doing a very kind of cool guitar part, which now feels like my song. It's not just a 1, 2, 6, 4, 7. It's now something that's a bit more unique. Let's groove it again. Let's see if I can get it down on a loop. So if I just get rid of this one. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Ba-da-ba-da. Okay. Now, obviously, I'm going to have to record that again because I did the first bit wrong. But you can see it's starting to really sound like something cool now. And what I'm going to do to end this lesson is I'm going to put 2 layers here together, okay? So I'm going to do the bass layer of those 7th chords with the groove, and then I'm going to play it with this over the top, okay? Now, when I do that bass layer of the 7th chords, I'm not going to actually groove on them because my groove is very much there in that part that I've created. I'm just going to let them kind of ring through so we have that kind of second style. So, 2 parts back to back, something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I'm going to do those same chords again. Just the bass chords, I'm just going to play them in different positions on the neck this time. Okay, that just relies on you knowing the chords in different positions on the neck. So my A major 7, I think I'm going to play it here. The B minor 7, I'm going to join. F sharp minor 7, D major 7. Seven. I'm going to do that B minor 7 and D major 7. Very cool, very cool. Now listen to that track. You know, I can just now. Obviously, I'm not a drummer, but if I was, that's what I'd do. and there's our track, okay? So there we have it, guys. We have now, at the end of week 2 of our Songwriting Fest, we've now taken a basic chord progression using our theory, very much within a key, a typical key. And we've now added some fun on top of that. And yeah, I appreciate it does rely on some other knowledge. It relies on that knowledge of the cage system. It relies on that kind of Hendrix-esque way. So there's a lot going into this, of years of experience. But this is now a good time to start developing it. And if you're into this songwriting stuff, I'm now telling you, learn that. Learn those cage chords. Learn that Hendrix way. We've got courses to do it. You can learn that. You can master that. And then when it comes back to your songwriting, suddenly that development is massive, okay? Now, the only thing we didn't really add there was that B section, but I'm quite happy with that B section just being very subtle. Nothing needed there. In my mind, that's just going to be a mega chill before coming back to this kind of main vibe, this kind of groove, okay? So your task now is to go away and try and do the same thing. Take what you had, maybe now bring in some 7th chords, or if you know 9ths and 11ths and 13ths, then be my guest. Do whatever you want to do. It's your song, remember. For some people's songs, if it's like a rock song, you're probably not going to need those 7th chords. Maybe just power chord versions, okay? But I'm just giving you those concepts, those ideas. But certainly you can create little bits of like melody and kind of sparkles, as it were, within the chords to add something that's more like a part rather than just a set of chords. So that's your challenge, guys. And next week, what we're going to be doing is learning how to add an actual vocal melody or a guitar melody on top of this section.